Welcome to Epic Recovery, where we embark on the transformative journey of self-discovery and personal growth. Join us as we unlock the secrets to genuine recovery, embracing our infinite possibilities, and forging an extraordinary life filled with purpose and profound meaning. Epic Recovery starts now.
Hello and welcome back to Epic Recovery. I am really excited to be here with you today doing this show. I've been thinking about it recently. What is it I want to talk about here? There's so many different topics and things that I want to share with you. And each week I'll bring up another topic because the whole point here is to help you grow in your recovery so that you're not just sober, but you're embracing what recovery has to offer. And it's a much more difficult path than just being sober. It means taking responsibility for past, for present, and for determining your future. So it's more difficult sometimes, but the rewards are that much greater. So I'm here to tell you that it is an amazing journey and it is well worth the effort, well worth going through all the pain and all the obstacles that are going to be in your way. But once you learn how to clear them, you're going to be stronger than you ever knew you were. And that brings me to my topic today. And that is being the warrior, having that warrior spirit as you step into this. You know, getting sober, when I first got into recovery and got sober, it was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? I don't know. And I was filled with fear and anxiety and so many different feelings. I mean, every day that I went to bed sober, it was like, whew, okay, hopefully I can do it again tomorrow. And after a few weeks and a couple months, it got a little easier. And as I started, you know, I'm a 12-stepper, so I was working steps and getting a sponsor, and I was in therapy and reading books and doing things that I needed to do. It was getting more simple, and it was easier to put those days together. I would have moments rather than hours or days where I really struggled through it. But after a while, I started to realize, and I gravitated towards movies that had that warrior kind of a theme to it. And it wasn't until, oh man, I was probably 20 years sober, something like that. And yeah, it blurs after a while. And I remember I went to a retreat. It was a men's retreat, and it was amazing. And it was a bunch of guys, and we would all take turns doing this incredibly deep, hardcore work. And one of the issues that I dealt with for a long time in my life was not being good enough. That not good enough type of a thing. I wasn't good enough in school. I wasn't good enough in sports. I wasn't good enough with anything that I did. You know, people would remind me all the time. You know, my parents were, you know, I grew up with severe ADD, but back then ADD was not diagnosed. So, God, Randy, you're so smart. Why can't you get your work done? You should be getting A's. Why aren't you getting A's? And I felt like such a failure. And it just compounded on in itself. And I felt weak and I felt worthless. And no wonder I turned to alcohol and drugs, because when I got high, when I drank, I didn't care how I felt or what was going on around me. Yeah, I got a D on the test, big deal. I don't care. But then, of course, the addiction took over, and then my life totally went out of control. And getting sober was either get sober or die. And I didn't really want to die. I kind of felt like I had more life to live. And I struggled through it, and I made it. And at 20 years, I went to this retreat, and everyone was dealing with old trauma and old things that were going on with them. And the therapist, it came my turn, and I got up there, and he looked at me and he said, have you forgotten that you're a warrior? I was like, what? How long have you been sober? And I said, about 20 years. 20 years? You are a warrior. What does a warrior sound like? And all of a sudden, it's like I felt this thing well up inside of me. And I felt stronger. I felt taller. I felt more empowered. And I just gave out a warrior yell. And I looked around and the other guys were like, whoa, dude, where did that come from? Because, I'm a pretty easygoing guy, kind of go with the flow. Um, it's just kind of who I am. But when I tap into the warrior and I need that energy for whatever it is that's going on, I am one powerful dude. And I tapped into it that day and realized that I can call on the warrior anytime I need to. And the whole purpose of this episode is to help you get in touch with your warrior. Because when you get in touch with the warrior, wants to be in recovery. The warrior is not interested in just being sober. It's like, oh yeah, what's that obstacle up there? I'll take it on. I can overcome that. Absolutely. And the type of warrior spirit that I really enjoy is that guy right there, the samurai. I love what the samurai stand for. And when I saw this piece of art, I was at an art festival and I found this, and this is called the Praying Samurai. Because even though the samurai is one of the most brutal warriors out there, he remembers his spiritual center. He remembers that there's more to what he's going to do. He doesn't just kill to kill. He doesn't just posture himself. When he steps into a situation, he is going to win. He is going to conquer. There is that confidence there. There is that determination there that I will succeed. And the whole purpose of this recovery journey is for you to kick addiction's ass. Yes, it's a part of us. It always will be. And it's to be treated with respect and humility. I respect my disease. I respect my addiction. It is so strong and powerful that if I let it take over, my life is done. It will end my life. So I counterbalance the respect of the power of addiction with the power and the strength of the warrior. And it lives within me. It lives within you. It lives within all of us, whenever we choose to call upon it. And here's the thing, my purpose for this program here that I'm doing, yes, a lot of it is based on addiction. But I always have in the back of my mind that this could be appropriate for anyone in recovery from whatever it is, whether it's an eating disorder, whether it's a past trauma, whether it's a combination of things. Where I really believe that everyone on this planet, we're all in recovery from something. We all have some type of a trauma. We all have some type of a hole that we've fallen into that was really difficult to get out of. Everybody has been through that, but most people choose not to even acknowledge it. But my thought is acknowledge it, face it, conquer it. I see my disease, I always picture it as a dragon. And it rears up, man, and it breathes fire, and it can step on me, and it can like snatch me up in its jaws, take me up 1,000 feet and drop me. And I have fallen so many times, but I battle that dragon with the warrior, and the warrior beats the dragon, and the dragon knows it. And the dragon just kind of sits and waits. The dragon is patient. Addiction is patient. The trauma, the feelings that come along with that, they are patient, and they sit there and they wait and they watch and they wait for that moment of weakness. But as soon as I feel, and it doesn't happen anymore, which is so cool. I just hit 40 years clean a few weeks ago, a month ago. Yeah. And wild to even think about. I don't get cravings anymore. I no more obsessions. Every now and then, it's pretty funny actually when I have a using dream. I'll have one, but it's been so long. It's like I'll do a line of cocaine in my dream, but I don't remember what it feels like. So I don't get high and I'm all frustrated in my dream. It's like, oh, this is shit. This isn't working. And then I wake up and I wake up laughing. It's like, oh my God, it's been so long. I don't even remember. So I just laugh at it when I smoke a joint or drink or whatever I do in my dream. But a lot of times it's pretty funny. Someone would be like, hey, man, you want to smoke this? I'm like, nah, I'm good. Or, hey, you want a shot? I'm like, nah, I'm good. So it's funny that even in my dreams now, for the most part, I maintain my recovery. But even in my dreams, when I use, I don't even get high anymore. But at the beginning of my sobriety, oh man, using dreams were nasty. And I remember telling my sponsor one time, I'm like, oh my God, I had another using dream. I think I've had one every day, every night for the last week. He said, wow, that's awesome. I'm like, what? Why are you saying that's awesome? He said, because your disease knows that it can only get to you now when you're asleep. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah. So when I looked at it that way and shifted the perspective on the using dream, all of a sudden it kind of took its power away. And now it's been so long, I don't even remember. But here's the thing. People ask me every now and then, wow, you've been sober 40 years. Do you think maybe you could just have a glass of wine or maybe just take one hit off a joint or have one gummy? Do you think you'd be able to do that? And my answer is always the same. I say, maybe. But you know what? The dragon has been over there sleeping, or he's dead, but I'm not really sure if he's sleeping or if he's dead. But why do I want to go over and poke him to find out? Just let him be. Let him be over there. Let him rest, or let him rest in peace. But I don't need to mess with that anymore. I love my life today. Man, the gifts that I get, the different things that happen in my life as a result of being in recovery. I don't remember if I mentioned this last week or not, but I'm about to move back to San Diego, which is where I got sober. My old therapist is there, who's now a good friend of mine. My old meetings are there. I'm hoping that some of the people that I went to meetings with, 20, 30, 40 years ago, I hope they're still there. I am so excited to be going back there. And when the fear starts to creep up, because yeah, there's some fear about moving back, but I choose to just be more excited about it. But when I get scared, the warrior is there present that goes, dude, nothing to be afraid of. You're going to be fine. We got this. The gifts that you're going to get when you get there are going to be multiple amazing gifts. And they're already starting to happen. So what happens on this path of recovery, not just sobriety? With sobriety, sure, you'll get some little gifts along the way. But when you're in recovery and you're really doing this work and cleaning up your past and owning who you are, taking responsibility, there's a difference between admitting you're powerless and accepting that you're powerless, and accepting that you're an addict rather than admitting that you're an addict, accepting that the trauma happened rather than just admitting that the trauma happened. There's a huge difference between those, and one is sober and one is in recovery. And my hope for you is that you embrace the recovery aspect of this. And at the beginning, yeah, it's scary. Yeah, it's painful. So that's why I always suggest find a coach or a therapist, or better, if you can, do both. Journal, go to meetings, or find a support group, no matter what it is, of like-minded people who can help you out. They all help. They help to clean up all of that crap that happened before so that you can truly be the person that you want to be. And I just thought of an analogy, a story that I like to use about, and I use this when I was a therapist, I would use this. Now in my coaching, I use it as well. What happens is inside the house that is our life, and everything that's happened is like a piece of art or a piece of furniture that's in the house. And all of us have this room in the house that we don't like going into. That's where all the shit is. All the shit gets thrown in that room. Whenever something happens, it's like, nope, let's just shovel it into the room. Let's just create like a dump thing that just everything gets put into that room. But what happens when you start this recovery process, you got to go into the room and you got to clean up the shit. But we finally get the courage to open it up and we look in that room and it might be knee deep in shit. And we're like, I don't even know where to start. And you know what? Just start anywhere. And what do I use? And we're given a teaspoon. And we go in and 1 teaspoon at a time, we start getting rid of the shit. And we smell and it's horrible. And people are like, dude, what is going on with you? You smell like shit. It's like, yeah, I'm dealing with my shit. But when we go to meetings or we're working with other people going through the same thing, they're like, hey, okay, you might be dealing with the shit right now, but it's going to get better. And then as I was dealing with it with my teaspoon, all of a sudden I found a tablespoon. And then I found a small shovel. And then as I was digging through, I found a bigger shovel. I found better and better tools to deal with cleaning out the shit. And then all of a sudden it's ankle deep. And it still seems like a lot, but it's much better than knee deep. And a saying that I heard a long time ago, when you look forward at how far you still have to go, it's important sometimes to look behind you at how far you've already come. So I kept digging and I kept working at it. And then I remember one time I kind of hit something with the shovel. I'm like, whoa, what was that? And I picked it up and I cleaned it off. And it was something really beautiful about myself that I didn't even remember was there because it was covered up in all the shit. And the thing that I found most was my sense of humor and my ability to play and my ability to be light and playful and curious and childlike and all of those wonderful things that make me who I am today. I found those because I dug through the shit. And today, yeah, I still have shit in the room. Absolutely. Every now and then it's like, whoa, where'd that come from? And I have to do an inventory and figure out, oh, that's from, oh, okay, now I need to go make an amends. And I need to apologize for that. And then I clean up the shit some more. But I've come to realize that this recovery process is just that. It's a process. It's not an event. It's not like one day, oh, I'm recovered, I'm done. Never done. The warrior's work is never done. There's always more to do. And I keep digging and I keep working and I still do the best I can. And do I make mistakes? Yes, all the time. But when I do my best to own it and say, hey, I'm really sorry I said that. You know what? I didn't really mean that. And right now, with all the stress that I'm dealing with the move and closing on the house here and moving into the apartment there and movers and car transport, all the things that I'm dealing with, I'm a little afraid right now. You know, I'm not at my best. And I accept that. And I'm not putting on any kind of an air to show, oh, well, look at me. I got this down. No, it's like, there are a lot of feelings going on, and this is a really difficult thing. But the warrior says, I got this. We got to just put one foot in front of the other, and you will get through this. And every day I knock out another thing off of my list so that by the time I get to moving day, I'm ready to rock and roll. Yeah. And I am excited, beyond excited. And the warrior is going to really do well by me every day that I tap into his energy. And it's that warrior energy. And again, the warrior energy is not about being in the world as an aggressive person. I'm not. And that's what I love about the samurai. Samurais pray. Samurais meditate. Samurais find balance within themselves. They know how to laugh. They're not like, Mr. Warrior all the time. No, they're a warrior when they need to be. And that's the kind of spirit. So find the type of warrior that you resonate with and look at the characteristics, look at who they are and what they are. You know, I also love the Knights of the Round Table, you know, the whole myth of Arthur and how he rules and how he is the warrior. I love those stories. And each one of the knights is an archetype of a part of ourselves. So when I read about the different knights, I read about their characteristics and I see them in me. So find what works for you. Find that warrior spirit that you can tap into to overcome whatever life throws at you. Because yeah, you can do this. You absolutely can do this. And don't let anything get in the way of your sobriety. And, what you have to be sober in order to be in recovery. But, life is going to give you challenges. But I got to tell you, there is no situation that could happen in your life that drinking and using wouldn't make worse. It is no longer a solution. If it was still a solution, you wouldn't be here right now. That's the truth. And I know for me, it worked for a while and it stopped working, but I kept wanting it to work. And I kept digging that hole and digging that hole and digging that hole, and it almost buried me. So I know that nothing can happen in my life today that would make me go back and drink and use. And I've seen people deal with some horrific stuff. Now, I remember one time there was this guy who walked into a meeting, and there was one guy on either side of him, and he walked in and he wouldn't make eye contact with anyone. He was really pale, and the two guys next to him, and I was like, oh my God, is he okay? And I went to walk up to him. They're like, no, don't talk to him. I'm like, okay. And I went and sat in my seat, and he sat, and they sat on either side of him. And I said to someone else, what's going on with him? He said, oh my God, you didn't hear? Earlier today, his I don't remember if it was 3 or 4-year-old son was riding their tricycle and went down the driveway and into the street, and a car came. It didn't see him, and it hit him, and it killed him. I'm like, what? His son was just killed today? He's like, yeah. And he's staying sober. He's not drinking. He called his sponsor. Wow. And they took him to the meeting. And you know what? He didn't use over it. He stayed sober through that whole thing, through the funeral and afterwards and the grieving process. He stayed sober. And I realized if he can stay sober through that, I can stay sober through anything that happens. And then I remember I was at a meeting one time, and this woman got up to share, and she was crying. She was totally distraught, very upset. She said, I can't believe it. The painters came to my house today, and they painted my garage door, and they painted it the wrong color of green. I didn't want that shade. I wanted a different shade, and I told them that. I can't believe it's the wrong shade. And she drank over it. I thought, really? And then I realized the addiction doesn't care what it uses to get to you. It is going to use the wrong color of paint on a garage door. It is going to use getting an F on a test, getting fired from a job, losing a business, ending a relationship. It's going to want to use anything as an excuse, but you don't have to. The choice is yours. And when the addiction, the dragon, starts to rear its ugly head, that's when you bring out the warrior and say, not today, not right now. And use the tools that you have. We don't have swords. My warrior doesn't have a sword. My warrior has a phone list. My warrior has a journal. My warrior has other tools that he uses to battle the dragon when it starts to make a comeback. So what are your tools? Start building your toolbox now. If you need any assistance, I'm happy to help. And I'm going to be talking about these tools as we get into more episodes. Again, this is only my second one. We're going to be talking about the tools and different things that you can do in order to get into recovery. I am going to bring on guests that we can talk about that with. If you have any questions or you want to make comments about this, absolutely go for it. Leave a comment. I'm going to read all the comments and the ideas. If you want me to talk about something specifically, I'm happy to do that because I'm here for you. I already got this stuff down. I mean, yes, I'm learning and I'm still growing and all of that. But, I've been doing this for 40 years. So I would love to help you to get your tool set together so that one day you're here doing this for other people. That's the goal. So whatever I can do to be of service and help you out, I am happy to do that. So thank you for tuning in today. I love doing this. I hope you got something out of it. And I will be with you again next week. And until then, I wish you all the best. Get that warrior out, dust off his tools, and watch what life will give you. Take care. Bye.
Thank you for joining us on Epic Recovery. Remember, every obstacle you overcome is a testament to your heroic spirit. Conquer your fears, unlock your potential, and write the epic tale of your life's journey. Until next time, keep keep exploring, keep growing, and keep striving for the extraordinary.